Okay. Obviously, there's not a lot that I need to say. We got our butts kicked. I told the team I've had my butt kicked before. I didn't do a good job this week. I was concerned about a variety of things this week. We didn't practice like we normally practice, and that's my fault. And that's what you get. I apologized to the team. I didn't handle our team very well this week, and I'm not taking anything away from Kansas State. They're a good team, and they played really well. I don't know. You'd have to ask Coach. I don't know if they could have played a better game than they played today. And then we weren't prepared. We just weren't. We weren't very physical up front. We couldn't do much to balance ourselves offensively. We weren't prepared, and it's really pretty simple. And I'll take responsibility for.
Well, that's what I call culture. Yeah, as you see there, that's Mike Gundy lamenting his 48-0 thrashing at the hands of the Kansas State Wildcats. Welcome, everybody, to the Hall of Fame College Football Live Show. I'm your host, Jason Watkins, and if you love college football, you are definitely in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring that bell so you don't miss one moment of the Hall of Fame College Football Live Show and podcast. Big game today for Oklahoma. No matter any way you slice it, whenever you give up the small amount of points that they did today after the way that it's kind of been going for Brent Venables and crew, I would say that there's no two ways around it. This was a big win for the Oklahoma Sooners today. Also, as you just heard there from Mike Gundy, tough sledding for the old Cowboys. We got to hear all week how that was the main theme of Gundy's press conference on Tuesday was just the culture that they've built around Stillwater in his 18 years. Obviously it's not a culture of championships or anything like that, but they win a lot. Of course, only if the game doesn't matter. Today definitely mattered, and they go out and hang a little zero up, give up 48 points to a backup quarterback, and might have just shot themselves right out of the conference championship race. Hey, what can you say? What can you say? Folks, if you like our videos and want to, continue to see great content week after week with Bryce and myself on the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast, please don't forget to hit that subscriber button. I'm hoping that this live is going just as planned. Let's see. Yeah, there it is. Good to see. Good to see. If you're out there, I've only seen a couple of people in there right now, but hey, give us a hello and what's up. Talk to us a little bit about it, and let me know what you think about what you saw today in college football. Again, just to me, I really felt like this Oklahoma game was big. You were going up. I know Iowa State, they're 0-5 now in conference. If you look at pretty much every game, they've been within a score. They lost the game to Baylor within a score. They lost the game on the road at Texas within a score. And really, that game came down to what could have easily been a targeting call. And even if you weren't going to call it targeting there, Decker's knee was down. Ball comes out. That ends the chance for them to come back. So, to me, I feel like that was it's a big win for Oklahoma to be able to get out there and not only put up a good defensive effort themselves, only giving up 13 points on the day. I know there's been a few weeks there, those 3 weeks in a row, that everybody would have loved seeing them just give up 13. That's actually the most that anybody has scored against Iowa State this season as well, 27 points, as they are a top 10 nationally scoring defense. the number one scoring defense and all around defense in the Big 12. Uh, kind of looking around at the Big 12 schedule today, TCU number one in the conference at 5-0 conference, 8-0 overall. They go to Morgantown and win 41-31 in a game that really was close for a while. But TCU doing what they do, they get behind a little bit and they seem to come back. Also, we just talked about Kansas State beating up on the Pokes 48-0. And then we've got one still going on now, but it's essentially over with as you have Baylor handing 45-17 crushing defeat to the Texas Tech Red Raiders. And that one's in Lubbock as well. So tough day for the old Red Raiders. Baylor looks like they're kind of a weird squad this year. They seem to kind of have some different issues that go on from week to week, but either they're really good or they're really bad. And but that's a big win for them. Texas Tech, they're 4-3, 2-2 in the conference on the season. They got their 2 wins, one of them against Texas, Texas today, boy, they were struggling against that bye week. They couldn't help themselves but to jump on Twitter and talk as much trash as they possibly could, whining and complaining about such things as the officiating and how they didn't have any, turnover or any penalties against them a week ago. Folks, if you're a Texas team, you don't have any excuses other than Sark. That was silly talk. When you have Quinn Ewers going 19 of 49 for passing, and then them not giving the ball in most of the second half to Bijan Robinson or Roshan Johnson for that matter, it's kind of on you. And he's 1-6 now in games when he has led at the half. So kind of an issue that Texas has on their own. You can complain about officiating all you want to, but there was plenty of reasons why you should have won that game last week and didn't. And I mean, look at the chokers that Oklahoma State can beat. So you let them back in that one. So kind of on you. Also around, we'll go ahead and pop up some of these scores. Anybody in here? Got one watching so far. Okay, all right. Well, taking a look at around so the Ole Miss and Texas A&M game is tight here. A&M with a football, 3rd and goal, 1 minute left in the ball game. I'm going to go ahead and go to this game cast here, and we'll kind of take a look at that. Oh, and they just scored a touchdown. Let's see what just happened. Hold on just a second. So it looks like they may have a chance to get a win here. Yeah, the ball is going. Well, 119 in the 4th. It hadn't updated the score yet here. Give me just 1 second. Yeah, it's showing 31-20. I guess the touchdown was just now, so apparently they were really kind of out of it. Yeah, yep. Oh, that's yeah. So with 125 left, A&M scored, but they were down 10, so that makes it 31-21. And it's showing on the game cast here, as I would put it up on the screen, folks, but it'll get me taken down, so I'm not going to do that. Again, big win for Ole Miss. Another loss for the Aggies. That's going to put them at 3-5. They're out of timeouts. They're going to go to 1-4 in the conference, and that is their 4th straight victory. I tell you what, when you have the number 1 recruiting class of all time, and you've been for all 5 of Jimbo's years have been in the top 10 recruiting, really, are there any excuses left? Because I got to tell you, I don't see it. There's just no way in the world that I would even. But and again, and I know I've said this a bunch, but if you're LSU, man, you've got to be thanking Texas A&M over and over and over for paying Jimbo. And I've heard more lately that it was possible that they didn't even really want Jimbo, but that was what was being floated around out there. I know Feinbaum has something to say about that the other day. Um, but he got them to extend him for $95 million. If they were to fire him now, they would still owe him almost $86 million. What can you do if you're A&M? But suck it up and deal with it because, and really, you could say, well, he's going to have to give up play calling duties. Well, what incentive does he have to do that? Because I mean, I don't see any incentive for him to do it. He can tell him to kiss his ass. What are they going to do? Fire him and pay him? You can't really do it. If you look at Auburn is still owing Gus Malzahn money, and they're about to fire another coach here any day now with Brian Harsin, and and they've been the laughing stock of the SEC since they fired him. So it's kind of one of them deals where um, this may not be quite over yet. That it's going to be. There's a timeout, and it looks like they're going to get the ball back here. So we're gonna stick with this for just a few minutes. We'll kind of see what happens here. 3rd and 3, no gain. Yeah, it's 3rd and 3 now. So Ole Miss still has the ball. Texas A&M just called a timeout. There's 1:05 left. It's going to be, looks like 3rd and 3. Yeah, they're going to really need to get Texas A&M is going to need to stop here. Defensively is really not their issue though, so we'll see what kind of happens there. But again, even having this to where they were picked to finish no worse than about 3rd in the SEC this year. They were a preseason number 6 team in the country according to most of the polls. They were definitely a top 10 team for every poll. I always thought that was probably a little overrated. So yeah, they just punted it 60 yards to the Texas A&M 8. So they have to go 92 yards in about a minute, 54 seconds left, and they need to go 92 yards or at least far enough down to kick a field goal at 31-28. We'll see what they do. Offense has not been their real strong suit there in College Station. Further around the country, let's kind of go back and take a look here. Josh Heupel and the Tennessee Volunteers continue to show that they're no joke. They go out and hang 44 points on Kentucky, 44-6. That was avenging one of the losses last year for Heupel and the Volunteers. They now look ahead to, I want to say the next game is going to be Georgia. It is. Next weekend, Georgia, number 1 and number 3 at Athens, of course. That's going to be a big game. A lot to talk about. And, Georgia, they kind of let Florida hang around a little longer than you would have expected today in the world's largest cocktail party, I would think. But, hey, this and to me, this offense is going to put up points. It's going to put up points. I know Georgia's got the best defense in the country, but they're going to put up points. And the thing is if you can kind of limit what these guys are doing on offense. And Georgia, I mean, they're just going to run the football, so they're going to try to keep this game in a low-scoring game. But if you let Tennessee hang around, man, I tell you, I don't see any way. I think this is going to be a good football game. Just kind of contrast the styles. It ought to be a good one. So, yeah, Tennessee going ahead and winning that one. As well, Ohio State had a bit of a problem for a while with number 13 Penn State, but they had some big defensive plays by JT Tuimoloau. I think that's terrible, but let's just call him JTT. He had a scoop and score touchdown and an interception for a touchdown as well, making up the difference in a 44-31 win for the Buckeyes, who are now number 2 and 8-0, 5-0 in the Big Ten. They've taken out the rest of the teams that are any good aside from Michigan in the Big Ten. The rest of the league is pretty much, I mean, there's no reason why they should lose another one unless they lose to Michigan, which also had a big game today against their rivals in East Lansing. They put up 20. They go 29-7 win over Sparty. No, it wasn't in East Lansing. It was actually at the big house, but 29-7 win. So good for them. It's a big one for them, and they're also 8-0, number 4 in the country right now. You see them headed on a collision course with Ohio State. Either one of these teams, and that's what's the shame kind of about the Big Ten is that you won't have these two teams playing in the championship game. It's going to be one of them. So really, there's not another good Big Ten team in my eyes. You've got Penn State would be the next best one, but I mean, what are they going to do? They're I don't know. They got thumped in Ann Arbor. Ohio State let them hang around a little longer, but of course they were at home today. But we'll see kind of what happens. Oregon, number 8, Oregon goes to Cal and wins 42-24. You had Wake Forest, the number 10 team in the country, get beat today by Louisville 48-21. That's the first time I've seen those dudes lose. What's up, Trap? Hey man, everybody, appreciate you guys jumping in there. My guy Trap House booming. I'm going to show a little video of his here coming up in just a second. But just to go through some of these scores, Lincoln Riley and USC coming off of their bye. They go to Arizona. They let the Wildcats hang around for a little longer than you would have expected. Unless you're an Oklahoma fan, this is just kind of what you're used to, no matter who they play. So 45-37 win over Arizona. Number 16, Syracuse loses at home to Notre Dame. Notre Dame is starting to look a lot better than they did start of the season. Then, of course, you had number 17, Illinois. They continue to look pretty good. They are at 7-1. That would be the next best team in the Big Ten. I still don't feel like it's a very good conference. I just don't feel like it's a very good conference, man. But yeah, we'll see. 26-9 win over Nebraska. And then Missouri goes in and takes care of Spencer Rattler. And South Carolina, you guys get a win over Texas A&M a week ago, go to 5-3, and you lose to Mizzou. Really? Good old Spencer. Good old Spencer. Obviously. Oh, man, that's something. But again, Georgia with a 42-20 win over Florida in the world's largest cocktail party rivalry game. And UCLA right now is still, it's just in the first quarter. They are up 14-3 over Stanford. And North Carolina is up 42-24 in the fourth quarter over Pitt. There's about 9 minutes left, but that one looks to be well in hand. We're going to go to a quick commercial here for you real quick, and then we'll be right back to talk a little more about these guys.
Hey folks, Jason Watkins, Hall of Fame, College Football Podcast. If you'd like to help support our show, we have a fabulous way for you to do so. We have teamed up with the #1 team merchandise retailer in the world, Fanatics. That's right, Fanatics. Now, the next time you need a new hat for your favorite team, shirt, even memorabilia, all you have to do is go to our website first, hofmedia.us/fanatics. That's hofmedia.us/fanatics. At the bottom of the page, there is a blue Fanatics logo. You click on it, then shop as normal. You're going to get up to 65% off everything in the store, and we get a small commission for everything you purchase. It's a win-win. So again, hofmedia.us/fanatics. That's hofmedia.us/fanatics. You help the show and save a bunch by doing so. It's a win-win situation, and we get to continue bringing you fabulous content week after week.
Hey man, thanks a lot everybody for jumping in here, and now we got more live viewers. I'm going to continue. We just kind of started doing live, so I'm hoping maybe we're going to get some more out there. But obviously, you'll be able to see the replays of all these coming up. Thanks a lot, Jake, for coming in to the show. Big Trap, man, appreciate you, man. Sending people over here already about it. You guys tell us what you think about this Oklahoma State debacle, what it seemed like over there in Manhattan against Kansas State, and what do you see this Big 12 conference race coming down to? Is Kansas State going to go ahead and get through to the championship game. They still got Texas, but they get them at home. And as we know, Texas is 1-6 in road games since Sarkisian took over. So I would say they've got a good chance at doing that as well. So yeah, Jacob, yeah, K-State, yeah, man. Hey, I think it's pretty obvious, man. They came into Norman, and with the defense, the way that Oklahoma played that day, you can say what you want, but this is a team we're talking about in K-State that they had a backup quarterback in there today, and they hung 48 on Oklahoma State, and it never looked good. And as you saw Gundy say at the start, I'll throw it back up there since we didn't really have anybody in at that moment. Here's Coach Gundy talking about that loss.
Okay. Obviously, there's not a lot that I need to say. We got our butts kicked. I told the team I've had my butt kicked before. I didn't do a good job this week. I was concerned about a variety of things this week. We didn't practice like we normally practice, and that's my fault. And that's what you get. I apologize to the team. I didn't handle our team very well this week, and I'm not taking anything away from Kansas State. They're a good team, and they played really well. I don't know. You'd have to ask Coach. I don't know if they could have played a better game than they played today, and then we weren't prepared. We just weren't. We weren't very physical up front. We couldn't do much to balance ourselves offensively. We weren't prepared, and it's really pretty simple. And I'll take responsibility for that. I learned a good lesson. I tried to do a couple things different, and obviously I'm not going to do that again. So
when you have, for a guy that was talking culture all week, his entire press conference, they talked about the culture of Oklahoma State the entire time on Tuesday. And if you got a culture that's all set to go, because he was like, I don't do anything anymore but decide about fourth down. Well, maybe you need to do a little more. And he said that they tried to change a few things this week in practice. Why? This is weird. What a weird deal, man. Shame. 48-0 loss at K-State. Yeah, and I got to tell you, I think that Kansas State's defense is underrated, and when you've got Deuce back there, and you can do the things that they can do, and this backup guy coming in, he actually had. Let's go back to this game and just kind of take a look at it. Let me get this top 25. Just gonna go to the Big 12. So yeah, you have Deuce Vaughn had 22 carries for 158 and a touchdown. It's Howard, who came in place of Martinez. He was 21 of 37, 296 yards, 4 passing touchdowns. For a non-passing team, that's big. So, hey, look, yeah, let's just call it what it is. They're trapped. This is exactly what happens. And that's what I was thinking. I was like, culture of what? The entire first part of I watched that press conference, and they're talking about the entire thing of just the culture that they have set there and all that kind of stuff. What's the culture? Because every time you are close, you have a chance to win the conference championship a year ago. And if you win that game, you go to the playoff. And what do? They cough it up. And you can call it 6 inches if you want to. I'm going to tell you that when you have 4 interceptions from your quarterback, and you get 4 interceptions from your quarterback, I don't want to hear about that 6 inches. And you still didn't get your 6 inches either. So, should have won that game no matter what. And again, yeah, hey, Jimmy, you're absolutely right. They fold every time. And it's why I've been saying most of the year, I've been saying that this is one of those games. This is one of those years that, Oklahoma is quote unquote down, and they are. They're rebuilding. They're rebuilding. But you can bet on it that when it comes Bedlam time, that Okie State's not going to win that. Yeah, I was hoping they're probably still going to be ranked. they're probably still going to be ranked, but it'll be maybe not though. You might be right. You might be right, Jake. But I'm gonna tell you, it no matter what. When's the last time that Oklahoma State won 2 in a row in this series? I know that he's only won 3 in his 18 years at as head coach there, Mike Gundy. So I'm feeling like there's no way that these guys end up doing. I mean, I've just seen it coming all season long. That you can see that it was going to take Oklahoma's going to need to get better week after week. It seems like they're going to do that as long as Dylan Gabriel's in there in that lineup. Because even though that offense, they're going up against the number one defense overall and scoring defense in the Big 12 today. They put up 27 points, which is big, but and even though I know there were some people on Twitter, trashing on them for not getting anything done right away. That's the kind of game where you're going to have to kind of trudge it out, get some yards on the ground, do it as methodically as you can, but just stay ahead. And then the defense having 3 interceptions in the game, it's just Jacob said not ever. So you must be talking about the Bedlam game. They've never won 2 in a row. Okay. Yeah, well, I wouldn't expect it to happen this year either, but you never know, I guess. I would think that that's just going to be kind of how it is. But anyway, you know, again, for Oklahoma to go out there and you've got an offense that's really kind of taking care of business, and I would say that it's as big a game as you could have had for them. So you turn around and here in 2 weeks is when you're going to have the Bedlam game. Um, you know, I feel like they kind of already spit the bid on this one to get a chance to get back to that conference championship game. And if they do still have an opportunity, Oklahoma should take care of that in a couple of weeks. That's just kind of how I feel about it. Let's talk a little bit about Texas. Tell me a little bit about what you guys think about these Texas Longhorns and not being able. Yeah, Jimmy, I think you're right. Yeah, it's not going to happen this year, especially if our defense starts getting confidence. And you should have confidence because the one thing is that Iowa State offense what it has been? No, they lost some good players, but I would say that that's when you go up against a defense that's top 10 nationally in scoring defense and overall defense, and you put up 27, that's still good. So we know that Oklahoma State defense is nothing like it was last season, and they even as good as it was last season, they didn't really stop Oklahoma. Oklahoma stopped itself, and this year they're not going to have they're not going to have home field and being able to they don't have that defense. They lost pretty much everybody from it. They gave up 48 today. I don't really see Oklahoma having a hard time putting up points in that game. It's going to be on the road, and you know what happens in Norman when Okie State comes in. They just generally they never play well. So I feel like that's a pretty foregone conclusion. I felt like that for a long time, even when Oklahoma wasn't playing great. I felt like that they would probably win that game anyway, as long as it mattered to Oklahoma State. But and Jacob, I think you're right there. He says that our D just needs time; it'll happen. Of course, look. First off, and I've been saying this a lot, and I'll go ahead and say it again. There was 44% roster turnover throughout. You lost the entire coaching staff once Cale Gundy was let go. That was the entire coaching staff turned over as well. Now, 44% of that roster, 13 guys that were on the defensive depth chart that are no longer at the school. Look, there was going to be some changes, and you're probably going to have to get worse before you get better. That's just kind of how it goes. And so I feel like it's a work in progress. Anybody who had these ridiculous expectations of them going to the playoff in the first year, even winning the conference championship, and I'm one of them that thought that they would probably compete for the conference just because it's Oklahoma. That was a little bit. Those were too high of expectations, and we needed to curb those as fans. But to me, I felt like this was a good win for them today. I know that, as I said, Iowa State's 0-5 in the conference. Every game has been close, and I feel like they caught Kansas at the wrong time. They're a different team since they lost that quarterback. That's why they look like what they look like. The Kansas State, they're still a really good team. They were right there in the Baylor game. Had some bad calls go against them there. Um, you know, One thing I will say, and I'm a fan of Matt Campbell, but good grief, man, hold yourself together. These press conferences are starting to get a little whiny, bruh, a little whiny. So, kind of keep it together a little bit. I mean, it's tough for them. I understand they're tough and tired of losing games like that, but good grief, um, little much there. But let's. I was gonna go to the Brent Venables press conference just for a second. We'll share that with you. Let's see what we got. Did we lose sound there, folks? Sorry about that. I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing that then. Um, I'm still kind of getting used to StreamYard. I just moved over from Riverside. Folks, if you like our show and want to help, if you want to help the show continue to bring you content week after week, and you can add to your wardrobe at the same time, we have a partnership with the number one team merchandise company in the world, Fanatics. So all you got to do is hit our website, hofmedia.us/fanatics. That's hofmedia.us/fanatics. Go to the bottom of the screen, tap the Fanatics logo, and just shop as usual. You're going to get up to 65% off everything in the store just for using our link. And as you saw earlier today, um, if you were on Twitter, we actually do have uh, pretty much anything that you're looking for. That amazing. I really like that sweater that BV's wearing today. That is on our website as well. If you want to go straight to there, you can just use that web address right there at the bottom of the screen. It's bit.ly/HOF fanatics, and that will take you to um, Fanatics. You shop as normal. So it was pretty easy for me to find that. Everybody was looking for it. In fact, that's how Trap was in there. That's how we met today. Just check it out and see kind of how everything goes. Let me know if we're getting sound now. Is everybody getting sound now? Come on now. I'm hoping everybody we are. So anyway, hofmedia.us/fanatics. That's hofmedia.us/fanatics. All you got to do again, click that button at the bottom of the page. If you do want to become part of our newsletter, just be on our mailing list, we will actually you can do that on that page as well. That hofmedia.us/fanatics. Either way, you can shop straight from there and get up to 65% off. So just by using that link, you get the best deals. That sweater, that hoodie that BV was wearing today, him and his staff, is available on the store now. It's actually $20 less than anywhere you're going to find it in the Oklahoma City area. So take a look, jump on there. We do get a small commission. You get 65% off everything in the store, up to 65% off everything in the store, but it's a great deal for everybody involved. So take a look at it and go from there. Also, folks, help us out and okay, good, sounds there, good. Um, help us out with, we've got our 4,000 watch hours. We haven't quite made it to our 1,000 subs yet, or we're still working on it. So share us as much as you can. Help us get to that subscriber number that we need to, so that we can monetize. We're bringing you content week after week. This is our, we've only been doing this for a couple of months, so we had it about a month leading up to the season, and so we've grown quickly. But we'd like to go ahead and get monetized if possible. Somebody say, hey, if you're a fantasy football guy, you got to be checking out Bryce Pinson on TikTok. He is Bryce. It's fantasy sports _ Bryce. You see it there on the screen as well. Fantasy Sports _ Bryce on TikTok. He is the human cheat code when it comes to fantasy football. He gives you. I just pretty much turned over my entire roster to him after the first couple of weeks, and we're just winning easy. So there it is, folks. Just again, as you heard Venables talking about there, a lot of big plays with Turk. He had a touchdown pass and those big punts towards the end where he pinned them inside the 10-yard line. Those are two big punts at key times. You had two big interceptions also in that fourth quarter, and it looked like Iowa State was going to get back in it. One of them, they were down in scoring position, so that was a big time deal for a guy that has really been, um, there's of all the defensive players that have kind of taken their lumps this year, you know, it, Stutzman's been one of those guys, and then of course so was oh dang it, I'm trying to remember the kid's name. Uh, Poor kid, man, he took a beating. But listen, it was big for these guys. I mean, this is a big day all the way around. The defense really showing out and only holding them to 13 points in a game that you had to expect that it's going to be tough scoring all the way around. So that was big for him. And as he said, what I think the biggest thing that I saw in the press conference that I really liked was the fact that especially up until the Kansas game, but even kind of after that, when you were kind of seeing, uh, you're you were kind of seeing, he just really didn't carry himself as well as you would have liked it if you're for Brent Venables. I just didn't really feel like he was really carrying himself as well. Just real sad and stuff. And I get it. It's tough for these guys to lose games. It really is, and they have a rough time with it. But to me, that's what I really like the most today about, what's up with Mims' drops. Sometimes these guys drop footballs, man, and I'd like to see him catch that one too. There's a couple of drops that he had today that would have been big, that would have been touchdowns. But you know, uh, again, I don't really feel like talking too much about this defense or about this offense, guys. I think that there was so much ridiculous talk at the start of the season about Dylan Gabriel and Jeff Lebby and all this other stuff. And I want to hear that stuff whenever you know, you're giving up 40 points. You gave up 40 to Kansas even in a game that you have 701 yards of offense and, had almost 500 of it at the half and 35 points. And they really should have had 42 down on the goal line and getting into a goal line stance, so they very easily could have ended up with 42 points in that first half. Obviously the TCU game, once Dylan went down, the offense struggled. And then, of course, the Texas game. If you were going to complain about anything, the Texas game would have been the way to do it because I didn't feel like they handled that well. As far as you know what, you could have put some other players in, given them some more time. I would have felt like Nick Evers would have been. I mean, they put him in at the end of the game to run the clock out. Why not give him an opportunity earlier in the game? But you know, um, aside from that, you can't really say a whole lot about this offense other than it's done its job. This is the most points anybody's putting up on Iowa State all season. So, again, that's another one of the deals where I mean we can nitpick at every little thing you want to about this team, but in the end, they're still, a work in progress. I think that over the next year, I mean, you've got some amazing kids coming in. The recruiting class seems to be intact. These last couple of wins has to have helped that, but even the fact that they had lost the three in a row, and when they went to them, that these guys all seem to be saying that they're sticking with it. They're expecting maybe they'll be able to play a little earlier, and and you can tell that they're starting to get this new culture in place, which this is a culture of winning championships, unlike in Oklahoma State where they just win regular season games unless they matter. So there you go. Anyway, folks, kind of going back to the scoreboard. Let's see, make sure everything went final there. But I mean, Marvin he had a rough day. I mean, you're right. But we can nitpick it all we want to, and we'd like to see him do a little better. But I mean, I definitely would like to see him do a little better. But you know, let's see, where is that Mississippi game and Texas A&M? Yeah, they held on. Ole Miss holds on to knock out Texas A&M. That's 4 straight losses. And if you look at A&M, they probably could be 1-6 on the season. They definitely should have lost that game against Arkansas. And uh, yeah, they definitely should have lost that game against Arkansas. But they claimed it off the bar or whatever. It seemed kind of weird, but it had it not been for that game, and then well, yeah, I mean Miami outgained them, outdid everything except for actually score the football in that game. So that was a win that you could have seen them not really uh, not doing much in. So to me, I feel like yeah, man, they're and Jake, you're right, man. What in the world is going on over there, though? I mean, these these guys have come in. You got the number one recruiting class of all time, according to all the recruiting services out there, and you're already suspending them. So it just goes to show you. And as I saw on one of my other favorite podcasts out there on YouTube this week, they were talking about how it's just the culture around there is dog shit. It really is, and I mean, it's fair. It's fair to say it. You just go out there and dump as much money as Hey, I thought you were saying I took some A&M money. I thought you were going to say that. Yeah, well, you kind of did. I would have all day long taken them there. Yeah, definitely. And even you could have given the points and still won. Or could you? What was it? What was it on points? Anyway, yeah, they're bad, man. They're just bad. But they went out of there and bought, and then you got Jimbo out there freaking screaming and yelling about what the Bro Bible said about their $30 million that they spent on recruits. Well, that's exactly what they did. I mean, the Bro Bible's a real thing. I've been a sports journalist for a long time, and I know all about the Bro Bible. It before it was a website, it was an actual, you know, the thing was an actual book that went around from sports writer to sports writer. These are all people that they run. These are all guys that are journalists, real journalists that are writing these stories. So it wasn't bullshit. Everybody knew it was true. And he's in there screaming and yelling, pounding on the table about how they hadn't paid anybody, when you know damn good and well they did. And just like the whole deal with Hicks earlier this year, nobody was talking about A&M, and all of a sudden he flips and he's going to A&M. Hmm. If Oklahoma fans act correctly on Twitter and leave that dude alone, there's a chance you might get him back. How many A&M players hit the portal this year? You know what? And I don't even think that it's Jake. I don't think that it's really limited to just A&M players. I think that this has become, Pate said it earlier this week, but I agreed with him. I think that this has become the new normal. Uh, you can get offered something somewhere else, and I know that's against the rules, but to be honest with you, I don't know that. I think that you could. But one thing that Jimbo said earlier this week, that you got to re-recruit your team every year anyway, and I agree with that, because you just don't know if you don't get enough playing time or anything that you think maybe you don't like a coach or something like that. And the way that things are kind of shaping up is that they're looking for that money. And it's all new to them, for everybody to get paid. Um, and so if you're a 4 or 5 star guy and you know that you're going to be one of those guys that is going to command a lot of money, you're going to go for a lot of money. You know, and yeah. Oh, yeah, I would think, Jimmy, I think you're right. I think that there's a lot of guys that aren't happy, but that's what I'm saying, is that there's just a ton of people. These kids are going to have to be re-recruited every year. And when you're in a situation like what you're in at A&M, why would they stay? Yeah, I mean, two of these guys off of that recruiting class, the true freshmen, two of them that he suspended this week for apparently chiefing in the locker room, smoking the devil's lettuce, they say. They two of those guys were suspended for the Miami game as well. So you just continue to see that clearly it's a dog shit, culture going on there at A&M. And just getting players, you got to get the right fits. I think that that's one thing that I've seen out of Venables, that they're not just going after guys that just because there's a certain star next to their name, there's 5 of them or there's 4. They're recruiting the guys that fit their program. and what they need. And defensively, when you've got Miguel Chavis and Todd Bates out there recruiting that defensive line the way they are, you're gonna end up with some good players. We're gonna see how it all shakes out, but I think that transfer portal, it's going to be pretty crazy this year. I think once this season gets over with, it's going to be a free for all. So stay tuned on that one. But guys, we are going to. That's going to be it for tonight. Don't forget, on Tuesday we will have our weekend recap show. We do a live there every Tuesday evening. It's going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So that would be 7 there in Oklahoma, Texas, and we'll see you guys then. Hey, I appreciate you guys all coming out and talking in there. Appreciate you a lot. I'm gonna leave this thing with Trap House booming. We appreciate you, man. Trap, bringing all these folks with you. I'm gonna leave the show with you and one of your great videos that I really liked from the start of the season. So that's how we're gonna close out the show. Appreciate you guys, and we'll see you here on the next one.
We're back.
I want to go to Texas.
Big Boomer, not the little. Get all the 5 stars you want, player. It still ain't gonna add up. Trap House. As we continue on, feeling like Parker Thune on this recruitment trail, player. Bucket hat like I'm working the grill at Trey's, player. Big Boomer, taper face sharper than the Ralph from Mims Jr. Horns down, I'm like dealing with dimes. Trying to eat like Perrion in his prime. Major player off the screen like I'm Marcus Major. On my gritty off the bus like I'm Jada. Up in Adams, hard cold as a wassail. Post game popping bottles in your Pablo. Crimson Matador, bulls never stick me. Train for battle like them Spartans out of Bigsby. Oklahoma. Sooner game till the pallbearers drop me and they throw the dirt up on me. Punchlines like I'm Brent on the plane. I'm just keeping the main thing. Big Boom, Trap House.
You're gonna get what you earn. You gotta pay full price.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. We'll see you here on the next one.